Welcome back to Forgotten Working Class Podcast. I am Tiffany,
I'm John.
and this is our guest, Dillon. Dillon, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We are so happy you're here. Dillon has a very important message to share with everyone. But before we get started, I would like to say if you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, the National Suicide Hotline is available 24 hours a day at 1-800-273-8255 or by text at 988. And again, 24 hours a day. And we hope that you will choose to stay another day.
Yeah.
Dillon, how old are you?
God willing, I'll be 20 or 34 next week.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
happy birthday. Yes, thank you.
What a gift you're here to share with us. How awesome. Where are you calling from?
Right now, I am in the parking lot of my school
Whereabouts?
in Sarasota.
Okay, Sarasota, Florida. Yes, we're in West Palm Beach. What do you do for work, Dillon?
Currently, I am a phlebotomist at the hospital.
Awesome. And you said you're in school. What are you in school for?
I am working to become an RN.
Awesome. So inspiring. What made you want to be an RN?
Well, I've always been kind of in and out of the hospital throughout my life. I'm very familiar and comfortable with the hospital setting. I've received a lot of care, and I was hoping to give that back.
That is truly inspiring. Guys, Dillon is such an inspiration. Um, let's just jump right into that. If you're ready, Dillon has an incredible story about his second chance at life. Dillon, you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah, so uh, it was actually about 15, a little over 15 years ago, on October 3rd, 2008, where I tried to take my own life. Uh, I just didn't see really much use in going on, and I thought that was the only option that I had.
How old were you?
I was 18, almost 19 years old.
So young, with such a long life, that you didn't realize was ahead of you.
Yeah, I just didn't really, uh, I didn't see a future for myself. I made a lot of mistakes as kids do, but I just didn't really see any hope or any reason to exist. So I thought I would uh, take myself out of the equation.
So sad. Mental health is so important all the time. So many people are having struggles of their own, and you see now, you're grateful at this for the second chance that you've been given. Um, your story is truly incredible.
Yeah, I wasn't grateful for a long time. Actually, I was actually very upset and angry at the fact that I survived because that was not the plan. Uh, I never really considered suicide until that day. I always kind of knew it was an option, but I didn't think it was something I would do. Uh, I've always kind of been a happy-go-lucky guy. I've always seen the world somewhat optimistically. But as situations unfolded in my life and the negativity started to consume my thoughts, it seemed like the best option. And when I woke up in the hospital, uh, about 3 days later, I was just even more demoralized and felt more of a coward because now everybody was well aware that I was struggling. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't imagine how you felt. at that time. So, without being graphic and all of that, at 18, how did you try to do this? How, like,
So, as I said, I always knew kind of suicide was a thing. It's something that's very um, well understood in our society. It's something that we all know about, but it doesn't seem to be talked about. And I knew the different routes I could take, and I didn't want to take any chances, if you will. So I found where my dad hid his gun, and I used that. I thought that would be a guaranteed option. As you can see, it wasn't.
mm,
Um,
Thank God.
and
yeah,
yeah, my mom ended up finding me, and that's how I survived. I was bay flighted to a hospital, and they put me back together.
wow. How many surgeries have you had?
In total, I think it's about 9 or 10. You know, I had an initial surgery after the trauma, and then I went through about 5 years of reconstruction.
And that's on your face?
Yeah, yeah, that was all because my face was the main target, so it was all kind of put together. Luckily, I didn't do as much damage as I could have. Uh, I didn't suffer any kind of brain injury, which it wasn't until just recently where I was overcome with gratitude on that simple fact that how
Yeah.
many different ways it could have gone wrong. And I'm sitting here talking to you today with no issues.
Absolutely. I mean, at 18 years old, I like to tell people I didn't really find myself until I was probably 25. So, all these teenagers struggling with so much pressure on their shoulders, and then people are just plain awful, friends and competition with other things, but you don't really find yourself until you're an adult. So, I'm sure you have gratitude now on multiple things that look at what you're doing now in your life, look how far you've come and all the um, dreams you have now. You never thought at 18 years old you'd be where you are today.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened over the last 15 years that I could never have imagined. You know, things that I've been able to do that I just never even considered. During that time, I just kind of was focused on the immediate pain that I was feeling, and not understanding that this too shall pass.
Yeah. Incredible. So 10 surgeries. And then what did you do as you were healing? Were you working? What was going on?
Yeah, actually, I had a friend from high school. His dad was actually working on a building across the street from the hospital I was staying in. He ended up offering me a job as a pipe fitter. I didn't even know what a pipe fitter was at the time, uh, but I ended up getting into some trade work, uh, and it was so 2008 was when it happened. I didn't start my reconstruction until 2010. So there was a 2 year gap with some situations with doctors and surgeons and trying to figure the best course of action. But all through that time, I was working, yeah, as a commercial pipe fitter. I worked in Tampa. I lived in Orlando for a while, and I worked up there. And then I eventually settled down in Miami, where my surgeon was located, and I was working down there for about 6 years.
Wow. So going through surgeries and working simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, I would take some time off during the surgeries, and that was something that I'm grateful that I was able to work into. Um, and yeah, one of the greatest things about working in the construction trade is, I was very self conscious about, the way I looked, and what happened. But all the guys that I worked with, like nobody really cared about that sort of thing, and they didn't necessarily. I didn't feel any judgment. They just wanted to know if I could get the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care what you work for. As long as you're a good worker, they're happy.
Yeah, that was really it, and I pride myself on having a good work ethic no matter what I'm doing. I want to make sure I'm doing it to the best of my ability, and that's kind of really all I focused on at that time was just um, working, getting the job done, and getting ready for the next surgery.
That's incredible, and I'm sure it was a good distraction for you in the meantime. I mean, physical labor, maybe you got some built up emotions out, anger out while you're working out there.
Yeah, and I was definitely able to make kind of light of the situation. Um, I had two older brothers, and they definitely um, didn't shy on making jokes, and and that's kind of how I got comfortable with my situation, and with my experience of suicide was, just getting it out there on the table, and not really holding back on the truth of the matter, and being able to kind of bring some levity to the situation rather than dwelling on the negative aspect of it.
Absolutely, and you were able to see you were loved beyond what you even thought, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I was in the hospital for a couple months after the incident, I mean, there was an outpouring of cards and people reaching out, and just so many people that had showed their support that I didn't really even think cared. When I was in that headspace and that negative mindset, I didn't think anybody really loved me. I thought I was alone in the matter. I thought I couldn't reach out to anybody or really talk about what was happening. But it wasn't until after the fact that, luckily I survived to experience that, because there was just so many people that had reached out and just wanted to say, you know that they're there for me.
So beautiful. I'm glad you have that support behind you and you see how valued and loved that you are.
Yeah, and
So,
I hope anybody who's going through that can realize that they're not alone. um, as much as we may feel like it in those moments, they say, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And as much as I hated hearing that for so long, it's really the truth, because as I said earlier, this too shall pass. And sometimes it's hard to see, the light at the end of the tunnel in those very extreme moments, but they're there.
absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we've lost people near and dear to us over the years who have lost their lives to suicide. And my husband here has had over 30 surgeries in the last 4 years. And, the toll it's taken on our mental health, which is completely different from your circumstances or anybody else's. It's just remembering how important you are, how loved you are, how needed you are. Like there's always someone you can reach out to, someone you can talk to. Just anybody watching this, please remember that because every single person, there is somebody you can talk to who will listen. But for Dillon, you have completely like changed your life. So you were a pipe fitter, and now what are you doing?
Yeah, now, like I said, I'm in the medical field and I'm working to expand on that role. It just so happened that I've been I've been a long time blood donor, since I was in high school when the buses would show up and it was a great way to get out of class.
That's awesome.
And as I moved back to Sarasota after Miami, and I was looking for a career change. A lot of the older guys that were in the trade had suggested going back to school. They're like, "Are you sure you want to do this the rest of your life?" And when I was in my early 20s, I was like, "Yeah, I'm making a lot of money. This is fun." And then as I got more into the trade and realizing how grueling of a task it is day in and day out, I started to rethink my options. And yeah, I ended up getting a job at the blood bank that um, I just it seemed like a good opportunity. It was very simple to get a phlebotomy certification compared to some of the other certifications in the healthcare, and that's what I did. I became a vampire.
Explain what a phlebotomist does.
So a phlebotomist, simply put, is just someone who draws blood.
Okay.
Whether it's at a donation center where they're taking a unit of blood that goes to people who need it, or if it's in the hospital and they're just drawing test tubes to keep up on your treatment.
Truly incredible. I mean, after having to be in your own situation in and out of the hospitals, you now want to work in medical centers with people, helping people.
I want to know if the reason that you decided to do that was because in the hospital, I know my experience, I had multiple nurses that could never find the vein and they'd stick you about 10, 15 times. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, early on, it definitely was a little nerve wracking, getting the needle and putting it in somebody.
Yeah.
But as I started to gain more experience and know what to look for, uh, I think I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, there's definitely some hard sticks, uh, but I get the blood. That's for sure.
That's awesome. And you want to be an RN. So what type of RN?
That is something I'm not completely sure of yet.
Okay.
One of the motivations behind becoming an RN was that it does offer such a wide foundation for different um, areas, as opposed to a phlebotomist where it's very kind of streamlined. An RN, there's many different avenues that I can go down. Uh,
Absolutely.
so the goal is, yeah, just to get there first and figure it out later.
And when will you graduate?
Well, hopefully I will be into the RN program next fall. I still have to finish a few prerequisite courses, as I didn't have any college credits. I just went straight into the labor field, and now I'm kind of playing catch up. So
That's all right. I tell people you're never too old to dream a new dream.
yeah, it was. I wasn't sure if I was cut out for further education, but it turns out I really enjoy it.
That's so awesome. And I'm sure you inspire so many people, you share your story all the time, and I told you you are a spokesperson for your own story. You're such an inspiration. So I'm sure that you're making a huge impact.
Well, that you're going to make a huge impact in the hospital because being patients in the hospital and you're there on you said months. I was there for a couple months. You have nurses and doctors that come in and they try to tell you, I know how you feel and this and that. They've never endured an injury. So for you being injured and you being through all the hospital, you can kind of relate to other patients now.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, but when I go to see different patients, I try to bring that type of personality in there. Try to be as comforting and understanding as possible. Because yeah, I know what it's like to be on the other side.
Yeah, that's the part that is amazing. You're gonna make a big impact on people that are in the hospital that are dealing with their own issues. That you go in there and it's gonna make them feel better because they're gonna understand that you've been in their shoes. You're not just in there saying, "I'm gonna stick you with a needle" or whatever.
Right. You're definitely, and we keep saying this, you're so inspiring. Do you do you kind of feel like this was your purpose maybe?
uh, yeah, no, funny you say that. I really, um, so after my attempt, part of my, uh, you know, disdain with living was that itself, was understanding like why did I survive? Like what is the reason for me even being here? Uh, for a long time, it was more or less kind of some frustration with that, because I didn't want to be here. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like I was anything. And I jumped right into the workforce, and I kind of tried to not think about it as much, but I always knew in the back of my mind that, yeah, obviously I survived for whatever reason, and I want to figure out, what's the reason for existing. I mean, I've always kind of had that thought growing up, this grandiose idea of, why we're all here. Ask me why I thought that as a kid. I'm not 100% sure, uh, but it was something that kind of consumed my mind. Was what's the point of life? Uh, in theory, that is one of the questions that drove me to suicide. Was trying to understand what happens after we're gone. Not necessarily the best way to go about that
Yeah.
research, um, but yeah, it's always been in the back of my mind. And, as I've been open with my experiences and kind of talking with even just strangers or, people that I work with or, just acquaintances that I come around uh, and not shying away from the topic as, like I said, suicide has always been kind of that taboo subject.
Yeah.
And I've never backed down from it. If people were to find out, or if I were to say that I attempted, or people would ask questions, they're like, "Oh, are you okay talking about this?" I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, why? This is my life now.
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't I talk about it? It's the truth of things." Uh, and yeah, it is cathartic, and there is some therapeutic value to being able to share my experience and not shy away from it. I feel if I were to kind of keep it to myself or you know beat around the bush, so to speak, that I'd be doing myself a disservice.
Absolutely. And that's why we created this podcast as an outlet for survival, excuse me, survivors of multiple situations to come on and be able to share their stories and create this community where we can support each other because that's what we're all craving. And unfortunately, we feel like we don't have support from family or friends. Well, welcome here with us. You are supported, you are loved, you are appreciated. And it's so incredible that you're sharing your story amongst strangers. We thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for asking me to share. Like I said, I never really thought too much into the ability to just share my experience that it helps others. It was more or less on kind of an individual or a small group setting where I can find that connection with people and they would let me know that it helped them in some way. Uh, and that's just kind of how I did it. I never really thought about, you know, putting it out there or really searching for a way to share. So I thank you for inviting me on because yeah, to know that you're not alone is a big thing. I mean, the fact that I was able to learn how many other people kind of went through similar situations, or experienced, similar thoughts that I had, and maybe sometimes still do have, because it never necessarily goes away. We just learn how to deal with it better. Uh,
Absolutely.
so learning all these other people that were in the same situation, uh, it just, yeah, it makes me feel more welcomed and at ease with what's going on, and to know that it's not something, like I said, to be ashamed of or to shy away from.
I'm so glad that everybody's been kind to you and you've been able to have jobs and get in school, and it's just truly amazing. You never expected that kindness, and look at you now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't do this on my own. I mean, everybody that I've come in contact to in my life has helped me out in some way or another. Uh, Obviously, I didn't want to be here in the first place. So I tried to get out of it, this thing that we call life. And every step of the way, people are showing up, whether I'm expecting them to or not, or hoping they do or not. They're just there, and that's the beautiful thing with this human connection.
So awesome. I love the way you speak about it. I love your personality, and you're sitting here smiling talking about this. It's incredible. You're incredible, Dylan. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone?
Um, I don't know. I mean, there could be so much to talk about, regarding this topic, because it's, like I said, it's something that I've really embraced over the years. It's something that has really changed my life, whether I wanted to or not. Um, but yeah, just the simple fact of being able to talk about it, um, we're as a society now, we are more open to the mental health topic, and we're more aware of the mental health issues that we all experience, and we're looking more into how we can better apply solutions to it. And simply just talking about it is one of the easiest and simplest solutions. Whether you feel uncomfortable, bringing it up to somebody, or whether you think, nobody really cares. Trust me, somebody does, and somebody else has experienced something that you have, and to just not hold it inside. That's one of the things that I've learned over the years is, pain shared is pain lessened, and not to necessarily feel like you're a burden to somebody else by sharing it, as I know I have felt that way in the past, and kind of why I was reluctant to open up before my attempt, because I felt like I would just be burdening other people with my problems. But really, um, we're all here to help each other, and if someone's not there to help you, that's on them. That's not on you. You're, by the ability to clean up your own side of the street is the way to make progress. And somebody's going to be willing to listen.
Absolutely. Well, Dylan, we appreciate you coming and sharing your life with us. And I hope that you never stop sharing with people, because I guarantee you your story is helping way more than you think. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen to it, and having some interest in it. It is still baffling to me sometimes that I am interesting, I guess, or that people do actually care to listen to what I have to say. Uh, but that doesn't stop me from talking.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best in your future. Please keep pursuing your goals and dreams, because as you see, you were meant to be here. You really were.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes,
Like,
thank you guys for your time. Thank you for uh, having this platform for others to share their experience, um, and to allow me to share mine.
we definitely want to keep in touch and catch up with you again as
Yeah.
you're nearing your RN graduation, because
We
it's
want to
just
see you succeed.
absolutely what a remarkable story about your perseverance.
Yes, I will definitely keep in touch, and I will let you know my progress.
Awesome. Stay strong, Dillon, and please don't stop sharing.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, the National Suicide Hotline is available 24 hours a day at 1-800-273-8255 or by text at 988.
Yeah, don't ever feel ashamed or anything like that to call. You know, someone's there to help you. Ask for help. You need help, ask for it. People are here for you and everything else.
There's someone out there who loves you, right, Dillon?
Always.
Right?
We love you, Dillon. Welcome to the family.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Have an
Have a great
awesome
day.
day.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.